Hello, and welcome everyone to Home Office Hours Live with Vistaprint. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you haven't joined us before, Home Office Hours is a series of live discussions that we've put together on timely topics, and we'll be featuring guest speakers as well as our very own Vistaprint team members. We know that small business needs have changed and we wanted to help, so we put together Home Office Hours as a way for us all to connect and to share education and advice during this time when we're all spending a lot of time at home and we're dealing with various challenges. So we've tapped colleagues to help answer some of the questions that you're all having as business owners. And today we have with us Estefania Torres, Client Solutions Manager at Facebook. And she has a presentation here to walk us through the different ways that small businesses can use Facebook advertising to grow. So before we get started, I wanted to share a couple of housekeeping items. We'll take questions at the end of this session, but you should feel free to submit them all throughout, and you can use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen if you're joining us in Zoom. We know that many of you are joining us via Facebook Live, so you can absolutely enter your question in the comments there, and we will get those in the Q&A in Zoom as well. And finally, we'll be sending the recording out after we wrap up for those of you who have registered in Zoom. It will be available on YouTube as well for those of you who are joining us via Facebook who may not have filled out the registration form on Zoom. So I'm going to turn it over to Estefania now to get us started. Estefania, can you share up your screen?
Yeah, let me do it. So share, let me know when you can see it.
Perfect, all set.
Okay, awesome. So hello everyone. Hope you can hear me well and also hope you're well and safe. Thanks, Corey, for the introduction. As said, my name is Estefania and I've been working at Facebook for the past 2.5 years as a client solutions manager, which is basically my day-to-day job is helping clients to grow their business. And that's the main reason why I'm here today. Hopefully I'll give you some tips and tricks to get the most out of our platforms. So what we're gonna do today is that we're gonna walk through how you can find your most valuable consumers and how you can grow your business within our Facebook family of apps. And all of this basically starts understanding the people. So here. So there's no such a thing as a captive audience, if we can say it that way. And I think you will agree with me on this. So consumers have more choices on everything, from the content they consume to the products or the service they buy. If we take this concept a little bit down, we can say that we are creating and also consuming an enormous amount of content from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed. So take a look at what happens in a day. So we have more than 1 million people joining on social media platforms. We have also more than 6 billion internet searches, which is a lot. We have more than 100 million hours of Netflix and streaming. And of course, during the last weeks, it probably has tripled that number because we're on Netflix a lot. We also have more than 300 billion emails sent in a daily basis, which I think is an unbelievable number. So we can agree that's a lot. And with the new devices emerging and more people coming online for the first time, the amount of content we create and consume will accelerate even more. So the thing we need to do is make sure that we are ready for it and make sure we're adding value to that potential customer out there to not only reach them properly, but also make sure that we gave a nice invitation to them to get to know our product and also get to know our service. If we land these thoughts to Facebook environment, I think it's necessary to say that people thumb through more than 9 meters a day in content within our feed, which is basically the same size as a Liberty statue. Yes, that's a really fun fact. And that's a huge number because we usually don't realize that we are scrolling down and thumb down that fast. So the main conclusion we can take out of this number is that we need to impress and get the users' attention really quickly to make them stop. Because we are not only competing with ourselves and with other brands and with small or big brands, we're also competing with family pictures, with friends videos, and also with all of those dogs and cat funny videos that for some reason we cannot stop watching. So we have a lot of competition out there, and that's why we need to do things as right as possible and adopt all of the best practices to take the most out of it. So when we talk about Facebook ad solutions, we are basically powered by machine learning and automation. That's our main source of truth. So this allows us as a company to offer an efficient and a scalable way to acquire valued users, and of course, help you grow your business. If we take this down a little bit and we see some numbers, right now we have within Facebook, 2.6 billion people connected each month. On Instagram, we have a little bit more of 1 billion each month. And then if we jump to Messenger, we have 1.3 billion people reach each month. If we add on top of that out of those 1.3 million billion that we have on Messenger, we have 20 million businesses exchanging messages with people every month. We can all agree that that's a lot, that we can also say that our Facebook family of apps has a huge audience, and probably the audience that you're looking for, it might be here somehow. So one of the main questions that we receive in a daily basis basically is, what's the main difference between our two big sources, which is Facebook and also Instagram? Should I behave the same way on Facebook that on Instagram? Should I post the same? Should I reach the clients in the same way? Are they gonna behave in a similar way? And the main reason is that we know that the two platforms are really different between themselves. So that's why I would like to just go through the main difference between one or the other, so you can take the clever choice when you want to approach your clients. So as a company, we're committed to building apps and services basically for three things: to connect, to discover, and also to share. At Facebook, in one side, our mission is to make the world more open and connected. At Instagram, in the other side, our mission is to bring people closer to the people and things they love. For both platforms, people are the center of the mission. And for small businesses like you, connecting your brand to the right people, that's our mission as well. So how are people using the platforms, and how can we help you identify the right source? So people come to Facebook to discover and share content that's very personal and relevant to them in their newsfeed overall. It's full of content from friends, it's full of content from family, but they also have a lot of content from brands that mean something to them, which is a bit different from Instagram. They come here to be visually inspired, and that's the main reason why everything is way prettier here than it is on Facebook. They come for daily inspiration and for the interest that they follow. So it differs to Facebook because half of the content that people see on Instagram feed right now is from people they don't know. So Facebook is about following your friends. Instagram is about following your interests and getting some inspiration. But for both, we need to make sure we are providing a good end-to-end experience to the client, to make sure that they get a good experience and that they can end up either buying our product or just get to know our brand. So what we're gonna go through today, it's basically three main points. And the first point, we're gonna be focusing on helping products find people no matter where they are in the journey, basically no matter if they know you already or if they don't know you and they're in the discovery phase. Then we're gonna go through a few of the products and solutions we have available right now for just to grow online sales and also offline sales. And then we're gonna end up having some creative tips and tricks that I think is gonna be really exciting to see that with low budget and with very low production, we can actually do greater things and just increase the value out there. So as said, we're gonna help you find, help your products find the right people and not the opposite way around, because we are really good at that. The main reason is that Facebook can pair the right products to the right people because we understand interest and behavior at massive scale. We have 2 billion people connected on Facebook right now, and they don't see the same content all over and over again. And you will agree on that. Every time you go to Facebook, you see a different feed. The main reason is that they receive a personal and very curated experience based on the interests and the behaviors they have. And same goes for Netflix, for Amazon, or for Spotify. Every time you go in, you see a different thing. And that's the value of it, and that's the beauty of it. So across Facebook family, and when I mean about family, I'm always speaking about not only Facebook, but also Instagram, Messenger, Audience Network, WhatsApp, and Oculus, and all of the apps that we have. You can also deliver these type of ads and help the client to get a very personalized experience, no matter where they are in the purchase journey, if they already know you or if they don't know you. And this is only possible by combining the data and the scale powers of our machine learning and automation, by connecting to the products and people that we know that they are really likely to purchase them. A key lever for growth is to optimize performance for your campaigns to the real business outcome you care about. So previously, and it's a really common practice back days, but right now it is still happening, that we used to focus on quick wins. So we used to focus on link clicks, on app installs, on getting traffic to the website, or on any other KPI that it's not really business related because it doesn't have revenue behind. So right now, what we should be focusing on is on lifetime value and trying to increase that value for the customer and make sure the average order is higher and make sure we're grabbing all of the most valuable consumers before the other ones. So because our marketing solutions are based on people, you can optimize the delivery of your campaign to the customers that are gonna keep coming back and ultimately growing your business. So with the right setup, we can actually help your products find the right people. And this is not related to budget at all. You can do this with $10 and you can do this with $100. Our products will adapt. They are very flexible with that. So to grow your business, you can now reach people with relevant products and services early in their purchase journey. So when they don't know you yet. And I think the opportunity for growth doesn't come from acquire the consumers who already want to purchase from you, because that's an easy fact. The thing is that potential intent is far greater than existing intent. So for incremental growth and to actually grow your business, you no longer have to wait for purchase intent to happen. You can actually, with our solutions, create that purchase intent and make it happen. Let's jump to the second driver of growth, which is basically leverage mobile and capturing attention and drive actions online and also in stores. So it doesn't matter if you don't have a website, if you have a small shop, it would also apply. We also have offline solutions. And if you instead, you have an online shop, we have tons of products and solutions that can actually fit you and help you drive this kind of growth. So we know that people now expect a fast and what we call frictionless experience on mobile. That I know it sounds really complex, but it's basically trying to make the user experience, which ended up and starts seeing the ad and ended up buying your product, as easy as possible. People abandon the site if it doesn't load after 4 seconds. And this is really common. We usually don't get out there and make the test to see how fast our site is loading, assuming you have a website. And we don't want to lose all of those people that they might purchase. We're talking about 40% of them. So that's a lot. We also know that people say they would purchase more on mobile if it was easier to use. Sometimes the landing page loads, but then we don't find the product. The price is not easy to find. Then the checkout is really complicated to fill out. So what we need to make sure is that whatever your product is or your service is, we develop an end-to-end experience that allows users and potential customers to go easily through the process and have a frictionless experience overall. Our Facebook friction-free or end-to-end solutions, if you want to call it like that, are designing basically on 2 main things: is to drive sales online and also to drive sales offline. So what we know is that 1 over 3 people say they purchase an item from a local business based on an ad they saw on Facebook, for example. If we add on top of that, that 75% of Instagrammers right now take actions after being inspired by a post, we can all agree that this is actually a really good solution to leverage your growth. You just need to get to know all of the solutions that we have and the products and see which one suits you better, so you can actually take the most advantage of it. So we're going to take a deeper dive into our performance marketing solutions, but here, as you can see, we have few screenshots about just divided in 4 main blocks. The first one, we're going to be speaking about how to demand generation, which is basically how to get to know you and how to make sure that people get your brand. Then if we're focusing on acquisition, we might be focusing on getting leads, getting people to sign up for an offer, getting emails, getting phone numbers, or getting mobile app installs, or whatever it is. We also have solutions around that. And then you might be also be focusing on transaction. You want to sell your physical product, for example, or you want to sell your service. So we're going to also be checking at some examples on that field. So let's jump to the first one, which is basically how to generate demand with our products and services. This is going to be very focused on the discovery part, which is the upper funnel of the purchase intent. When someone they don't know you and you want to make sure that they remember your brand and they get to know you. So what we need to be and have in mind always is that make sure people are aware of who you are, but also they're aware of what you have to offer and what your benefits are and what your product is. So in this case, we have good solutions and really common and easy adapted, like for example, dynamic ads, which initially they were launched as a retargeting solution, but right now they have expanded to acquire the users and also to broader audiences. So this basically enables you to pair your product, so whatever you're selling, to people who haven't yet discovered them. You can also use video ads. You can also use carousel ads. You can even use an Instagram shopping or any other organic feature that you see available out there. So let's try to keep this concept down and see a case study with Big Keepers. This is a really cool brand that basically stays under the natural pharmacy and remedies business. They knew they needed to get out there, but not only to make their brand something recognizable, which is something that was needed at that time, but also to offer the potential client the opportunity to contact them, because they had a lot of questions around natural cosmetic and pharmacy overall. And they wanted to answer those common questions before they buy to make that conversion and that frictionless experience better. So this is why what they did was to implement a click to messenger campaign, and that was the right way to go. After presenting their product in this beautiful ad that you're going to see later in depth and all the benefits and that stuff, what they did is that when you see the ad, you will be able to click and open a conversation with the small business and then ask all of the questions that you had before going to the website and probably ended up purchasing. So with this strategy, they got almost 40% increase in sales and 4.5 times return in ad spend. When we talk about return in ad spend, because you're going to see it very frequent here, we're basically speaking about the return for every dollar that you're putting on your marketing activity. So we can see indeed this was very profitable and it brings a lot of added value. Say that with the demand generation, as commented at the beginning, we can also focus on acquired leads. So let's assume you have a newsletter, you have an offer, you are offering a service, and what you want is people to sign up. You always have two ways to do it. Either you can do it on your website, either you can collect the emails manually if they send it to you by DM or whatever it is, or either you can use our native solutions, which is basically, as we saw in the example at the beginning, it's called Facebook Leads, and when you see an ad, you click, and then this native form opens, and it's going to be pre-filled with the data that you have on Facebook. Basically, what this allows you as a small SMB is just to collect as much data as possible and make sure that the user has a really frictionless experience, because it's going to be way easier for them to sign up for that than actually go to your website, wait it to load, and give you all of the information manually. So that's one of the things to do, but there are also a lot of different ways to acquire a potential customer, as we're going to see, for example, here. Let me jump. So this example is not a basically as the one that as I already mentioned, as they are not using any of the products that I mentioned, but what they're doing, which is really nice to commend, is that they're taking advantage of other tools we have to acquire what they needed at that time, which was basically staff. So Facebook Jobs helped Happy Belly's bake shop to hire 71% of the 2019 staff. And I think this is incredible, because if we add on top of this that 50% of them remain in service after 1.5 years, we can say that the leads, they not only were able to acquire leads and acquire staff at that time and hire them, of course, but they also had a lot of value. If we go to the third part, which was basically focusing on online sales. So let's assume you have an online store and you promote your product or your service there. So we already cover how to get your product or service out there and reach the potential customer within a discovery phase. But what if they already have interacted with your brand already? What if you want to reach people who have already interacted with your website? They saw a product, but they didn't buy, they added a cart, but they didn't purchase at the end. So driving sales starts with reaching people already interested in your products and services. Dynamic ads is also a really good product for this, because you can use it for retargeting. And it's basically designed to reach people who have shown some kind of purchase intent to your products or services. We can also, if we don't have a website, but we know there's some kind of interest and we want to drive sales online, we can also use Instagram shopping, and that will also leverage the product, and it will help you to grow a little bit on this field. So this is one of the common cases is use dynamic ads, for example, but there's also another way to reach potential customers and grow your sales. And that will be a marketplace that in US is actually way bigger than it is on EMEA or on LATAM. So we have really good numbers there. And I encourage you that if you have physical products, you go there and use it, because we have seen a really good results. So this is a really nice case study with Hairball Company. Basically what they wanted to do is to discover new ways to reach new customers, but without having to spend too much time and money managing any additional channel. Because we know that's a constraint. We are only one person and small business. We don't have a full staff. So we need to keep things simple. So what they did was to list their products on Facebook Marketplace. And over the time, even though they were getting really good numbers, and we're going to commend them later, what they noticed is that Facebook Marketplace was not only bringing new customers, but was also driving visibility of a variety of items that weren't getting enough visibility on their store. So items that weren't as popular on their digital storefront, they actually saw an incremental sales after a few months on Marketplace. So what we can see is that they were able to get 50% average increase in revenue, which is a really good number. They got 25% average increase in total sales, just using this as a new way to acquire new customers. And they also got 50% average increase in numbers of items purchases. And this is what's linked, what I just commented with the other products that weren't as popular as those. Basically, someone was buying something and then they were adding another product that usually wasn't that popular at that time. So the average order was a bit high. And what if you don't have a website, but you have a physical store instead? If you have a bakery shop or if you have a small shop in the neighborhood, then our offline solutions are the right way to go. The main one, it's called offline conversions. And it basically what allows you is to connect your offline data with whatever activity you're running online. So let's assume you have all the phone numbers or the emails or whatever information you have of all the people that are coming to your store. And you're also running some kind of marketing activity, but you don't know if that marketing activity is actually bringing those people to your store. So if you use offline conversions, you will be able to upload that information, and then we will be matching that people and letting you know, hey, from these people that actually went physically to your store and buy something, we can match them to the campaign that you were running last week. So you can actually measure and just complete the full funnel, and not only having online activity, but also having results offline. We can see this kind of combination of a strategy, for example, with Checkers and Raley's. They are burger shop. So what they did, basically, they were only focusing on online activity, but of course you weren't able to buy a burger there. So what they did is to adopt our offline solutions to make sure that what they were doing online was actually getting impact offline. And when we measured that, we saw that there was a 10% increase in sales compared to the same day in the previous year. We also saw a 63% lower CPM than any other typical promotional campaign that they have run in the past. We got also 3 times higher engagement rate compared to any other campaign running at the same time. So overall, this is a really good solution and a really easy to implement if you are focusing on, or if you have a store and also you want to run online activity. Also, we have store visits, which will allow you to run online activity and send people to the store. This is a more complex solution, but if you are willing to have a look in depth, I'm going to share a few external resources later. And it's also a really nice solution to make sure that you have also foot traffic to your physical store. So say that, probably we're gonna jump to the creativity tips and tricks that I think is gonna be the most exciting part. So I wanna make sure we go through this and also we get some time for a Q&A at the end. So as said, getting a good creative doesn't need to, and it's not linked to having a great budget or having a good big amount of stuff. It's basically play a little bit more with mobile creativity and make sure what you put in there, it's adding value, it's unique, and it's actually fun enough to make people stop. So the $1 million question we usually get is, where's the formula? What are the best practices to get a good creative? There's actually no a fixed thing, but I think we can compare it with baking, for example. So if we build, if building great ads were like baking, I will say that following the best practices should get you here, which is basically getting a functional and edible cake. And that's fair enough. The thing is that if we take the time to add some creativity on top of it, we're probably gonna be ended up getting some kind of things like this. And this is what makes the difference between you and any other brand selling something similar. So a few tips for building a great ad. I tried to summarize all of this in only 6 principles that we think they need to be present not only in ads, but also on your any organic activity, on any other piece that you're gonna build. If you're putting some efforts on building something creatively speaking, you need to make sure you have at least the majority of this. So the first one is branding. And when I speak about branding, I'm not speaking about having the full logo type or having the big typo or the color. It's just having the brand identity on everything that you build. If you cannot put the logo because you think it's going to be too much, then the color is going to play a good part of it. If you can use the font, maybe it's the tone of voice you use with the clients, but just try to make sure that your identity is there, because what you want as a business is that, of course, that people get to know you and also they ended up buying. But if I cannot buy right now, or if I don't want to buy right now, I still remember you. And I can either tell a friend or either come back to your website later. But if I don't know how your brand looks like, it's going to be really hard for me to find you later. Then the second one will be time, and it's basically find the balance between the message and the time. We usually say that if you're going to put a video or an image, it needs to be as short as possible, but as long as needed. So if you have a really complex service, make sure that you're taking the time to explain the service properly. If you have, for example, a product that is very visual, then try to do it as easy as possible so I can go through the message really quickly and then jump directly to the website. The third one is related to attention. And we usually say that every moment is a chance to capture attention, and we need to be really quickly with that. So make sure that what you're putting out there and what you're selecting as a thumbnail, for example, if you're using an ad or if you're posting something on Instagram, it grabs the attention really quickly, because otherwise, as we saw at the beginning, it's gonna go through and I'm gonna scroll down and I'm not gonna see it. And it's a pity because you designed it that with a lot of love and probably you put a lot of time on it. So make sure your design is a good design, but also it grabs the attention in the first second, if I can say. The fourth one, it's related to sound. And as you probably know, because you're users of our platforms, we barely consume the content with sound on. So you need to design for sound off, but you need to delight with sound on. If someone takes the chance to open the sound and hear it, they better get something in exchange. So it's a really low effort, but it can add a lot of value in it. When it comes to framing, as you probably have seen on our platforms, you can do vertical, you can do landscape, you can do square. So make sure you're taking the most advantage of it and don't get stuck on old 2000 landscapes, because you're losing a lot of screen. And if I'm gonna scroll down and I see a full vertical stuff or a full square one, then you're gonna be occupying more of that screen, and probably I will stop. And just the last one is basically play more. So get out of your comfort zone and experiment and think what makes you unique and try to put that out there, because the users are gonna value that a lot. So what we can see here, and I'm gonna put here, hopefully you will hear it. So we have a few examples of a good adoption of these 6 principles. In the first one, we're gonna see an imperfected ad. Okay, that was not, it's this one. And what you saw here is that the brand was always present, the color was always present also. They didn't use a big production, they were just only use a clever shots of the product, and they show the benefit and what the product was in a really easy way. It was also a really short ad, it lasts less than 10 seconds, and it's a subscription service. So it needed to last a bit longer than a regular service because it needed to be explained. But I think it was really nice explained and beautifully done. If we see again the Beaker Keepers one, it's basically doing the same. So let me put the volume bit down. So they knew they have a complicated product. This was really new in the market. So they needed to explain it a bit more. And that's the main reason why they have a video. But what they did very cleverly is, for example, on this shot, is dividing the screen in two. That's not a thing you commonly see. So that's gonna grab your attention really quickly because it's a right way to use the framing and grab the attention of the user. If we see the last example, for example, Bombas, what they did, and really low production on this, because this is not even a video, this is on a slideshow with made with static images. They always put the color of the brand behind, and it was really product focused. So it doesn't matter if I spend 1 second or 15 seconds seeing the ad. For the first second, I know exactly what they're selling. So the message is really straightforward, and that's what's going to mark the difference between a good ad and then a bad ad. Let me jump. So where can you see more of these ads and get more inspiration and just ended up just getting more content? We actually have a platform called Creative Hub. You can Google it and then you can go. What's going to help you is to basically learn about the best ads of the week and then just be inspired. You can filter by format, you can filter by placement, and it will allow you to not only see big brands, but also see small brands and overall have a better perspective of what's out there and what should be doing. You can even build mockups, which is also a really nice way to test whatever you're going to put out there. Or it's out there. You can get preview on mobile. And if you want to know more about all of the things that I've been talking through this webinar, I encourage you to visit our Blueprint course. It's basically a really full course, but it has been split in modules. So if you want to focus in on app installs or getting people to your store, or improving your website, or even creative, you will be able to select the model that you will, and so you can get the information that you're looking for and only spend 15 or 20 minutes just getting these more in depth. And I think that's all from my side. I tried to squeeze it in 40 minutes so we could get some questions. Hopefully it has been interesting. So anything that you would like to ask, feel free to write it down so I can jump.
Well,
I'm gonna
thank you
stop
so much.
sharing. Yeah.
I think this was super informative for how small businesses can advertise on social. Thank you. And those resources that you shared at the end there, that's awesome. I think those are really helpful too. We are going to include some links in the follow-up email as well. So I hope that will help our participants too.
Awesome.
So we are going to do something a little different for the Q&A today. We're going to let Estefania take the questions. So I see that we have some in here already. So just to reiterate, if you are joining us on Zoom, you can go ahead and put your questions using the Q&A button at the bottom. If you're joining us on Facebook, just put your questions right in the comments there. We'll get those in the Q&A in Zoom too. So Estefania, if you check the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, that should bring them up. Let me know.
So I'm gonna start reading some, and hopefully I will address as many as possible. So the first one that I have here is, how can I know if ads are working? So if you're building an app within our UI, which you need to basically do it within Ads Manager, within the ad part when you're building it, and you see the preview, you're gonna see a little icon at the top that has an arrow, and that arrow will be able to send you the preview to your phone. So you can actually see if it's seen properly, and it's actually if it's working or not. If your question is more related to reading the metrics and that stuff, then within Ads Manager and also Ads Reporting, which is a really nice tool within that, you will be able to see the amount of clicks and all the KPIs that are performance related. And that should be able to just let you know if that ad specifically is working or not.
Estefania, quick question there. To get into Ads Manager, do you have to have Facebook Business Manager?
Yeah, well, there are two things. You cannot, I mean, you can go there directly without having it, but I encourage you to have one, because having a business manager is like having, I always compare it with a suitcase. So business manager is a suitcase, and then you have Ads Manager inside. You can only have Ads Manager, but then if you have the business manager, you will be able to do more things, like for example working with audiences. Let's assume you want to upload your customer database to do something with it. This is some things that will be better if you have a business manager in it. Let's assume you have different fan page because you have different markets, or this is something that only can be done if you have that suitcase. So the short answer is no, you don't need to have it, but I'd really encourage you to have one.
Okay, thank you.
Reading another one. So which bidding should I use? It will depend a lot on what you're looking for and what's the size of the business and the campaign that you're managing right now. But basically we have three types of biddings. The first one's called automatic bidding. The second one is automatic but with a cap. And the third one is called target cost. So if you're using an ad and you're facing this question, I will tell you that if you are focusing on volume, use the first one. If you're focusing on control, because you need to make sure you don't spend more than X amount, then try to use the target cost. And the one in the middle is going to play like a balance between those two. Another question. So how often should I update my ads? It will always depend on if they're working or not. I always say that if they're working, do not touch them, because we're gonna make sure we show those ads to the right people. If you see that you had one campaign that was performing really good and it has been slowing down during the days, then you can of course update the ads, but try to not do it too often. I'll say no more than once or twice a week. Another, where do Facebook ads appear? So basically they appear in whatever placement you're choosing. So you might, when you build an ad, you're gonna be able to either put automatic placement, which is gonna allow us to pick if we put the ad on Instagram, on Messenger, or on Facebook, for example, or you either can do it by yourself. and make sure that your ad is only going to appear on Instagram because that's the audience that you want to look for, then you can do it manually.
Estefania, can I jump in there with a quick question?
Yeah.
You mentioned in one of your answers just now that if your ad is working, you leave it alone, don't touch it, don't update it too frequently. So how does someone know if their ad is working?
Okay, so I'll say, let's assume, well, you either have a website or you either have a physical store. So what you're gonna do is build a campaign around that KPI. So you let us know which is the thing that you care about the most. If you're talking about a website, then the thing that you care about the most is gonna be purchases online. And the same is gonna happen in store, but offline. So we're gonna know who is buying online because you're gonna have this technical thing called pixel getting on your website. And we're gonna know who's buying offline because you're gonna let us know that through an Excel file or whatever it is. So what we're gonna do is match that data and ad level. So you're gonna see that the beautiful pink piece you updated last week, it's getting 5 purchases versus the green one that's getting 3 purchases. So then the answer will be that the pink one is working better than the other one. But you will be always be able to see all of these KPIs within our tool. Also, you can customize them and see, I only care about clicks and I only care about purchases. I want to know how much have I spent on this ad. So it's a very flexible tool that you can always adapt depending on your needs.
Awesome, thank you.
What's the difference between an ad and a promoted post? They basically similar, but the main difference is that when you promote a post, there are a lot of limitations because the post has already been built, so you cannot change it. But if you're building an ad, you're going to be able to make some iterations of it. You're going to be able to use higher or a longer text. You're going to be able to change the call to action bottom. So it will depend on the level of complexity that you are looking for at that moment. But you can always start boosting a post, which is really easy to do, even with your phone. And then if you see that this market activity is actually bringing you more sales, then you can bring all of those to ads so you can get more variables to actually play around with.
Can you tell us a little bit more, actually building on that, what exactly the promoted post is and how you boost it? It's an existing post on your page, correct? That
Yeah.
you would then put some money behind?
Yeah, so let's assume you have a very successful post because you have a lot of likes and a lot of shares and comments and that stuff. And you want to make sure you're not only reaching your followers, but also new people. So they get to know that post and get the information, then you can boost it. If you boost it, you will see that option always within your phone, within the fan page option. It actually usually suggests it, but if not, you can go to settings and then I think it's called publishing tools. And then you will see the boost button. When you boost it, you're basically reaching people outside your followers or fans. So then it will become a marketing activity. So you need to put some money behind and it will let you know that if you put $5, you're going to reach 1,000 people. If you put $10, you're going to reach 1 million people. So you will decide if it makes more effort or if it's worth it to put 5, 10, 15. There's no a fixed amount of budget that you need to put. It will depend always on if it's working or not and if you feel comfortable with that number or not, and just keep testing. But it's a thing that you will find within the UI and even in the phone.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
What else can I read? How can I find my audience on Facebook? So I will say that we saw that we have like 2 billion people. So probably they are on Facebook, family of apps. The thing is that how to find them and how do I know if they're on Instagram or they are on Facebook or they're any other way. So we have 2 things here. So let's assume you have, you want to reach a very specific audience. Then you can go either through boosting a post or either building an ad. And you can go and use, for example, our interest behavior, which is going to allow you to target people who usually likes page like Z, C, and Y. and that will narrow the audience. So you can make sure that it's going to resonate with your brand. You can also do that. It's called interest and behaviors. You can also filter by region, by country, by zip code, by user, by operating system, device. Like you can filter like in a lot of stuff. And also you have other opportunities to find your audience that are actually also adding a lot of value. So if you don't want to target interest, but you have a specific audience that you know, because you have the information, because they already bought something for you, and you want to sell something more, you can upload that information, and we're going to be able to match them and send them the ad to them. And also there's a third option, which is I know my customers are this, because I know them. You already upload that file, but I want to find people who similar like them. So I get to a bigger audience and I can reach more people. In that case, you can just create what's called a lookalike. And it's basically telling Facebook and asking Facebook that find people similar to the ones that I know who they are and how they behave. And that can also should help you finding the right audience.
Quick question about that. So if you are uploading a customer list into Facebook and you want to use that to create a lookalike list, does your list have to be a specific number of customers? So do you need 1,000 or 2,000 or something like that in order to create that lookalike audience?
Short answer is no. We will do it with 10. The right thing is that if it's too small, we might not be able to find enough people. So I will say try to upload at least 100, 200. So we have enough margin to get new people out here, because otherwise it's going to be really difficult and it's going to be always limited. So try to get at least 200 or 300 emails if you can.
Very helpful, thank you.
There's another question here that says, how is a Vistaprint ad different from posting ads on Facebook? Okay, so this is related to the one that I commented at the beginning. So basically, when you build an ad, a native ad itself, you have way more variables to add on top of it. You can play a lot with the audiences. You can play with the bidding strategy. You can have a more complex budget strategy. You can put creative iterations. So let's assume you're not sure if pink is better than green. If you're boosting a post, you're taking the post the way it is. And if it's working, then good. But if you figure out that people weren't getting the message because it has a lot of text, then you're not going to have another way to actually fix it. If you build it as an ad, you can actually put two types of the same content. So I put this one with the content that I know it works on my organic page, but then I put some kind of iteration, which is the same, but with a lighter color. And then you will be able to see if it's working better or not. So the main difference between boosting and just building an ad is the complexity of it. If it's only going to be a simple solution and you just need something just to put out there, then you can boost and that's completely fine. But if you're looking to have more control of what you put in there and you want to make sure that you're taking the most out of it, then I will say always use an ad, because it's going to allow you to do way more stuff. For example, if you don't have the designing capability, let's assume you're by your own and you're not a designer, of course. If you build an ad, you're going to be able to use our native tools. And we have things to build videos. We have things to do slideshows, to do carousels, and to do a lot of formats that are going to engage with the user in a better way than actually just boosting a post. And they're really easy to use. So it will depend a lot on what you're looking for at that specific time.
Thank you. One question, we've talked a little bit about budget. When you were talking about boosting posts, you mentioned you could put $5, $10, and it will tell you how many people you can reach for that. We know that a lot of our customers have small marketing budgets. So can you tell us what should a budget be and how much should a small business allocate to each ad?
Okay, so this is also $1 million question, but I'll say the budget should be whatever you're comfort with. So don't start with the high budget because that's not going to help you a lot. At the end, what we need is enough budget to give you what you're looking for. And what you're looking for may be cheap or may be very expensive. So if you're selling something that is really expensive, then the budget needs to be a bit proportional, because you know that those users are gonna cost a bit more than any other ones. If you're selling something that is cheap, then you can go with lower numbers. But I'll say everything about €5, $5 is gonna work perfectly good. And then you're gonna be adapting. Let's assume you put 5 and you see that you are not getting enough, then you put 10 and you see that that's a really good number in a daily basis, and you're getting enough traffic or enough likes or enough followers, then you can keep with 10 until you decide you want to duplicate the volume that you're getting, so you will move forward with 20. But what you need to keep in mind is that first, you don't need to rush and put a big amount of money. And then if it's the first time that you're doing ads or doing marketing activity online, don't start with big budgets, because that's going to get you out of your comfort zone, and it's probably not going to bring better results than starting with low and then just scaling day by day.
That's really helpful. Thank you. And I think it's very helpful to know too that you can change your budget once you've set it.
Yeah, you can always change everything that you said. You can change the grade, you can change the audience, you can pause the campaign, you can unpause it. So you're always going to have the control. Also, we have the app, the Ads Manager app, so you can do it by your phone. You don't need to do it on a computer. So it's really easy to actually see if it's working or not, and just take decisions during the day.
Perfect. Thank you.
There's another one here that says, what type of ads should I run? So if you're gonna build an ad, you're gonna face with a lot of questions if it's your first time when you go to our Ads Manager tool. So the first question is that we're gonna ask you which type of ad or which type of campaign are you, do you wanna get live? And you're gonna see a lot of different options. And my recommendation is always to ask yourself what you're looking for. Am I looking for users? Am I looking for people to buy my product? Am I looking for followers? Am I looking for people to ask me something on Messenger? And whatever you're asking yourself is gonna have a direct answer to the objective that you should be focusing on. We have things like video views. We have tons of things that are split in 3 buckets. The consideration, so for people who doesn't know your brand, then we have the transaction and the acquisition part for people who have interacted a little bit more. So always start asking yourself what you're looking for with that specific campaign, and then try to find the objective that suits better for that, to answer that. I think we don't have any other question.
Okay. Well, we're actually right at about time. So I was going to see if we could take one more, if we had one more, but since we don't, I would love to ask you one last question. And that is, if you could leave our audience with one takeaway, what would that be?
What
thought that they should kind of walk away from this session with?
The takeaway will be definitely try it. Get out of your comfort zone. It doesn't take too much effort. I can guarantee you that. It's really easy to grow your business. Just trying our interface and the products that we have. There are easy ways to do it, and there are also complex ways to do it. So start with the easy one, but you should be able to see really good results as the one we saw during the webinar, with really low amount of effort. That's going to help you at the end to grow your business and to get a better outcome out there. So definitely try it. Get out of the comfort zone, because it's totally worth it.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you taking the time. So we are going to wrap it up for today, but we're going to be hosting these discussions every Tuesday and Thursday on various topics. And we really want your help to make these as helpful and as valuable for you as possible. So there is a survey at the end. We'd really appreciate it if you fill that out. It's super quick, and we're really just looking to see how we can make these more helpful for you and what kind of topics that you want to hear. And you can also send any questions that you have or topic suggestions to homeofficehours@vistaprint.com. And follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram. Stay up to date on the episodes that are coming up. Next Tuesday, we're actually having a discussion about activating your online community, so you can tune back in then. Right, so Stefania, thank you once again for
Thank
being
you
with
so much
us,
for your time.
and thank you to the audience for your questions. And we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you.